And actually, in a surprising way, the protesters have started to disperse, but the idea was never to bring 100,000 people out to one spot. Instead, the idea was to disperse people at junctions and intersections and prominent places up and down Israel. And here we are at the entrance to Jerusalem and the famous bridge that now adorns that entrance, and protesters gathered here along the cars that were coming down the streets, climbing on top of the bridge at one point. And on the sidelines of this protest, as it was getting going, we had Itamar Ben David, the member of parliament from the Religious Zionism Party, come by. We were able to interview him, and it was interesting that when we asked him what brought you out and what brought the protesters out, of all the many issues and the many grievances that the right-wing camp has against the Bennett government, this is the one that Itamar Ben David decided to pick.
I came here following the very serious espionage scandal that has surfaced in Israel in recent days. We know that mayors, executives, politicians have all been spied on. They spied against everyone. And all with one goal: to overthrow the rule of the right. It's the left. That's how it works. Wake up and smell the coffee. For many years, we on the right have been shouting and they were indifferent. We on the right have said, they are spying against everyone. Now when it comes to leftists too, they are waking up. We have been shouting about it for many years. Wake up and smell the coffee.
You know, Owen, there is an irony here, because even though it's police that are alleged to have misused this technology, this happened during the Netanyahu government, not during the Bennett government. And it was Amir Ohana, a close associate of former Prime Minister Netanyahu, that is supposed to have had oversight over the police in that period.
Right, and Gilad Erdan, the minister serving in that position before him, Calev. And in fact, I asked Itamar Ben David as part of the interview, are you saying that Roni Al-Sheikh, the then police commissioner, and Avichai Mandelblit, the attorney general up until a few days ago, are leftists or in cahoots with the Israeli left in an effort to topple the right-wing government? You just heard his answer. This is not necessarily the conventional take, we'll put it that way, that you'll hear from Israelis, including Israelis from the right-wing camp. But it was interesting to hear Itamar Ben David go at that issue, although certainly not exclusively at that issue, among the many, many issues that are in the grievances of the right-wing protesters who came out here tonight. And by the way, among the other issues, of course, anger at Naftali Bennett for, as they see it, stealing right-wing votes and then taking them to form another government. Upset at the presence of Mansour Abbas and the Ra'am party, that Arab party that's part of the coalition government, a sensitive issue to the protesters. Also, of course, the Netanyahu trial itself, part of the discussion, and a lot of talk about the, quote, identity of Israel as a Jewish state. Calev, I was expecting more talk about issues like conversion and supervision of kashrut laws that have been on the agenda in respect to that, a slogan such as that one. But really, I think the focus was much more on Mansour Abbas and the presence of the right wing of the the Arab Ra'am party in the government, which really seems to have upset and gotten under the skin of many people in Israel's right-wing camp in a way that, I have to say, surprised even me.
Right, and we should note that many figures, both in the center and very much also on the left of the Israeli political spectrum, have been raising their voices against the use of this Pegasus spyware. Interestingly, they raised their voices when it was being used and sold to other countries and being used against Palestinians last year, and now it seems to this seems to be finally an issue that both the right and the left have managed to find unity on, wanting to get to the bottom of this scandal over the Pegasus spyware. Owen Alterman there in Jerusalem, thank you for that.